All right. The next thing to do is make a graph of a linear equation. So what we're going to be working with here is really the slope-intercept form. Obviously, you could start with point-slope form, but in some sense, if you have that, you might even want to just rewrite it in slope-intercept form as a step one. The idea here is just identify the slope and the y-intercept. So that's pretty easy if we're in slope-intercept form, right? So say, for example, we have y equals 2/3 x minus 4. The 2/3 right in front of the x is our slope, our m value, and the minus 4 is going to be our y-intercept. Let me sort of run through these in a little bit more detail, right? So we said slope, you're thinking of as rise over run. Slope values, in some sense, are the change in y values over the change in the x values. So if you get a slope like 2/3, what that means is you're going to move from a starting point, you're going to move up by 2, and then you're going to move to the right by 3. So rise and run, right? The rise value is the top number. A positive is going to mean shifting up. A negative number is going to mean you're shifting down, you're dropping. And then the number on the bottom, the run value, that's your sort of horizontal movement. So if your run value is positive 3, it means you're moving from left to right 3 units for every move up by 2 you make. So this sort of moves us in little chunks. It's like you're building stairs and you're trying to figure out sort of how tall and how wide they should be. So this is sort of a rise by 2 and then a run by 3. It would be sort of the height of the stair is 2 and the width of the stair is 3. And what we're doing is we're starting at the y-intercept, which is this -4 value. So as a coordinate, that would be 0, -4. That's going to be where we start. So it's not that we're just sort of, moving up by 2 and over by 3 from wherever, right? I mean, the idea is this is based on a particular equation, so based on particular points. So we're using that y-intercept value as a starting place. So let me try and share here part of it. So the idea, right? Start with your 0, -4. And what you're doing, I'm trying to sort of draw with these arrows, is you're using this slope to tell you how to move, right? So you're rising 2, so 2 up, and then your run value is 3. So that's 1, 2, 3 to the right. And so we're going to mark a secondary point here in red. And if we just sort of count our values, we do sort of just the battleship style, right? The x's and the y's. This is sort of, moving from 0, -4, right, which is straight down 4 coordinates. So we've gone up by 2, and then we're going right by 3. So now the new coordinate would be x value is 3 and the y value is -2. And the idea here is any 2 points are enough to sort of define a line for us. So the second step is essentially just connect the points, right? So you have 2 of those points. It's all you need. The graphing tool in the homework will sort of work off this same principle. All you need are 2 points, and it will essentially draw a line to connect them. So if you're doing this by hand, draw it by hand. So in purple, I'm just connecting these 2 points together, and I'm extending it in both directions, right? So you're not doing a segment where you're just drawing it between the 2. The line is sort of going through those and sort of continuing both to the left and to the right. We kind of read it, the behavior from left to right, so we can see that the line is rising. It has a positive slope. It's increasing from left to right. And that's the kind of picture we get. If we ran another one, same basic kind of idea, right? So what about if I do y equals -2x plus 3? Okay, so the slope would be -2. As far as rise over run, right? So this is just a whole number, but I could always rewrite that as a fraction, -2/1. What you're going to do is I would attach the negative to the numerator value. So think of it as a negative rise. That really just means a drop, right? Drop by 2, and then you're moving to the right by 1. I would always attach the negatives to the top. You could do versions of it where you call this, +2 over -1, where you're sort of going up by 2, and then you go to the left by 1. You could do that. It would work. But I think it's easier to just sort of always attach the positive or negative to the numerator value and then just do the run always from left to right. I think that just helps to have things be a little bit more standard. The intercept value, in this case, the y-intercept is +3. So I'm working off of 0, 3 as my sort of starting value. So my initial sort of sketch would be, okay, so starting at 0, 3 in green is here, right? So up 1, 2, 3. My slope, -2/1. So I'm actually going to drop by 2, and then I'll move 1 to the right, to this sort of point in red. That would take us to the coordinates 1, 1. And so then all I need to do to draw my line is connect them. And that's what we're going to do, right? So in purple, we're sort of drawing a line that connects the 2 points that we did before, right? So from 0, 3 down to 1, 1 and onwards. You could essentially keep this going. You could sort of drop again, 2 more down, and then 1 more over. That would take you to where? +2, -1, and so forth. You could keep going. Or you could kind of reverse engineer your way sort of back up and to the left, like I said before. The graphing tool in the homework is only going to ask you to do this with 2 points, so that's fine. We can sort of stick with that. Any 2 points in theory will, define a line. If you want to put a couple more points on there just to sort of make sure and sort of check yourself that you're heading in the right direction, that's fine. You're certainly not going to lose any points for doing a little bit of extra work. Just keep in mind the graphing tool on the homework is only going to ask for 2 points. So that's making graphs. Pretty fun, pretty good, pretty cool. There you go.